company, what you do, but also let's do something a bit different this time as to one good thing that's happened since we've last got together. So, you know, what's maybe in the last 3 or 4 weeks, what one good thing has really happened that you want to talk about. We've got David Grigg joining us today, so he's going to be our guest speaker, and he can take part in this as well. But so this will give him a chance to get a feeling for who's in the room. So, Doug, I already asked you first, so go first. Now give everyone else the chance, a few seconds at least, to think of what one good thing they want to talk about.
Yeah. Okay. So, Doug from DT Studios. You'll hear from me later on. One good thing that happened this week, well, I decided to get a little bit more salesy and a bit more targeted. Yeah. And that was part of when we set up in the new year, we had a big meeting and decided that's what we're going to do. So I finally plucked up the nerve to start phone calling people, and yeah, it's to my surprise, yeah, we actually got some really decent leads out of it, rather than people telling me to leave them alone, never touch them again, and they were going to send somebody after me to do nasty things to me, which is what you think every time you try to pick up the phone to somebody. Yeah, so for me, the good thing is, yeah, I got the nerve and I did it, and excellent. Yeah, it worked out. So
excellent. Yeah, well done, Doug. That's definitely a good bit of news. So Helen, what about you? Yeah.
Oh, I have to think on the spot then. I'll tell you something that is really good. So I expanded my business, as you know, Kev, in April 17, from being just me at home to taking on employees and premises, which created a large director's loan account in my balance sheet. And I have this month cleared my director's loan and taken my first dividends.
Fantastic.
So I thought that was exciting.
That sounds like another great thing.
It does, of course, mean I've now got more tax to pay, but hey-ho.
Excellent. Very good. Thumbs up for that. So, Philly, what about you? Who are you, what you do, and what one good thing? Helen, by the way, does bookkeeping.
I run a company called Waxter.
Yep.
Trying to switch off my phone, sorry. Reminding me about this meeting. Come on. God, sorry, guys. It's very pleasant.
I didn't say what I did. I forgot.
No, you didn't.
I just went into. Sorry, it's pretty obvious actually. I'm a bookkeeper.
Good.
It doesn't want to switch off.
Are you sure it's not an ice cream van?
Oh, well, I'm going to throw it away.
This is part, I'm sure this is part of Philip's act. This must be, you know, and remember Waxter.
He's going to disappear.
You'll be looking for it later now, Philip. We go, where did I put my phone?
Hopefully battery will be flat. Anyway, yeah, I do mostly animation. Good thing that's happened. That's a difficult one. I would say 16 years of thinking has started to crystallize into a app, and I've managed to set up a meeting for this afternoon with one of the biggest privately owned IT companies in the world to discuss the potential of them maybe developing it.
Wow, that sounds like a big opportunity. Brilliant. Well done, Philip.
Fantastic.
Very
Fingers
good.
crossed.
Yeah. Okay, good. Andy, over to you. Andy Phillips.
Hi, everybody. Yeah, Andy Phillips from AP Insurance Brokers over in Greenwich. We advise all sorts of businesses and private clients on their insurance. Good thing that's happened to me the last 2 weeks. It's an interesting. It's a long story, but so I won't go into that. But it's the company I used to work for 10 years ago, and I left them to set up my business. The director there has since sold his business out. And he came to me the other day to say that the people that took over the business aren't dealing with it particularly well, and can he introduce some clients to us?
That sounds all right.
He's getting some bad comments back from his clients, so he wants another insurance broker.
So their bad news is your good news. We're having some really good news stories. That's great. Dave Perigo, what about you?
Thanks, Kevin. Afternoon, guys. I'm Dave Perigo, Perigo Consultants. We are, I suppose, tax experts and accountants. What's good? I suppose the good thing that's happening in the staycation time, I've ordered a camper van to get me through 2021.
Brilliant. We all want to know what kind of camper van now, Dave.
Yeah. VW 6.1 transporter.
Very nice.
Nice.
Brilliant.
Very nice. Well, look forward to seeing that when you've got it. Brilliant. Graham, what about you?
Yeah, good afternoon, guys. Graham from Citizen Communications. I'm commercial director. We're a full-service marketing agency based in Kidderminster, and I think the one good thing that's happened with us recently is that we have really kicked on, and we're about to launch Citizen Academy. So watch this space.
Oh, that sounds exciting. Very good. All right, excellent. Joe Widdowson, welcome. And how about you?
I'm Jo Widdowson from Blueprint Direct Mail. We do what it says on the tin. Blueprint direct mail solutions for B2B and B2C. And since I was last with you, we managed to get the opportunity to quote somebody that the business has been actually trying to get in with for a long time. Whether we get any business or not, it's a toughie, but we've at least got the chance to quote. So that is something that I'm feeling quite proud of. So
well done.
Fingers crossed.
Very good. Excellent. Good news. Simon Baldwin.
Thanks, Kevin. Afternoon, everybody. Simon Baldwin. I run High House Wealth Management Financial Advisors based in Bromsgrove. And the good news is we're 1 month closer to the pubs opening again.
All right. Good. Okay. Excellent. Amar, what about you?
Right. Well, the good news is I am now officially a solicitor. I think in my previous times I've been mentioning I was cross-qualifying. For those that don't know, I'm actually a Kenyan advocate of about 15 years standing. But since I moved here, I was being qualifying. But now I am officially a solicitor on the role of solicitors.
Excellent.
And so in terms of work, we've been fairly busy. That's nice. So yeah, for those that know me, Bradley Haynes Law in the corporate commercial department. And I think I should take a leaf of Helen's book. She's got bookkeeping there, so I know she said she didn't say what you did, but we know what you did now. So I might have to put solicitor now. I'm on my solicitor.
Yeah, it's a good tip to do, isn't it, on your Zoom name?
Yeah.
Have it there. Yeah, good. All right, well done. Congratulations. That's fantastic.
Thank you.
Peter, what about you, Pete Morgan?
Oh, hello. Sorry. Yes, Pete Morgan, the company.
Yeah, you confused me because you put Peter instead of Pete.
Yeah, well, let me change that for goodness sake. I'll have that. Nobody calls me, you're not my mother, and it's not Sunday. So there's no need. There we go. I'm Pete Morgan. The company is Monkey Pants Productions, and we help businesses and individuals get into the world of podcasting, either through workshops, masterclasses, webinars, right up to full podcast production, recording, editing, producing, publishing, and in some cases, marketing. A couple of big things over the past few weeks. About an hour ago, I managed to get some tickets for the England-New Zealand test at Edgbaston, which I was quite pleased about. Whether it'll happen or not, whether people will be able to go is a different matter. And it could change the mood a little bit, but I'm really proud of this. I do some work with an organisation called the Offside Trust, who are a support agency for survivors of abuse at football clubs, particularly in young academies. There's a big nationwide report that's due out in the next few weeks, and the FA want to make a podcast about it, about survivors of abuse responding to the report. And I'm going to be making the podcast for the FA and these survivors. So I'm really pleased about that.
Yeah,
that's
excellent. Very good. Excellent news, and it looks like you've got company going to the if you're going on the 12th of June with Amar. So good. Good. All right, Jenny, what about you?
Good afternoon, everyone. Jenny Henderson, Business's Chrysalis Business Support, working with business owners to put in systems and strategies around their business development. So all things to do with process flows, CRM systems, and word of mouth strategies. Am I still allowed to mention Scotland beating England at the rugby for the first time? Does that still count as good news?
Never happened.
Jenny, you stole my thunder.
I just.
Sorry,
Kevin,
me in a minute. I'll answer that.
I couldn't resist that, Jenny.
That's the first time I've ever been muted. There's been many people who've wanted to mute me in a networking event, but never anyone has been brave enough to do so.
All right.
Was Jackie Weaver on the show?
I was just going to say it's like that parish council one, isn't it? In case it's too controversial, and Kevin's going to shunt you out into a waiting room.
All right. Was there anything else you'd like to say, Jenny?
No, just very pleased with some work that I've been doing for some clients, things that we're just progressing really nicely with, and things that there's been just a lot of good thanks from my clients recently, which has just been kind of just a moral boost of just being kind of, okay, maybe I do know what I'm talking about when I do these things and I help people. So yes, it's just been very nice recently.
Well done, Jenny. Excellent, good stuff. And Peter, welcome. How about you? Peter Roper, this time. Oh, you are on.
I'm mute, I noticed. Sorry, guys. Thanks for that. Yes, I am a Peter as opposed to a Pete. But there you go. But that was always when I was in trouble with my parents too, to be fair. So family business practice going very well. 19 new members joined us since the start of January, which you can't complain at that. And that comes mainly from referrals, which is lovely, and the social program that we put on. Good news otherwise for me, as one or two of you heard yesterday at the check-in, I had my jab on Friday. There you go. I got it early, but I got my jab on Friday, and I went to Ombersley, and I've got to tell you, they were stunning how good they were. I mean, absolutely stunning. You literally drove up. There was a guy, it was -7 or whatever it was, on a Friday afternoon, standing there guarding you. And there were 3 people guarding you into a car park. There was a lady there waiting, so you did your hands. There was another lady that took you up the stairs. I was in and out in 15 minutes. And they were unbelievable. Apparently, Ombersley's record's 1,000, but they're putting at least 800 people through.
Very good.
That's unbelievable, isn't it?
Yeah, very, very impressive, the whole thing.
Hence why we're ahead of the game. And if any of you are nervous of it, yes, you feel a bit crappy for a couple of days. I still feel a bit tired with it, but grateful and waiting for Annie to have it now. So there you go.
Well done, Peter. Thank you. David, would you like to take part in this?
Yeah, thanks. Hi everyone. I know some people in the room, so hello everyone. Yeah, I'm here. Invitation by Kevin, via Dave Perigo to talk about Arch to Arc a bit later on, so that'd be cool. What's good happened to me recently? I've just received delivery of my Peloton bike. So I've ordered a Peloton bike for lockdown. So not only is it going to keep me fit, but also I can go and hide in the garage and get away from the 3 children at home schooling. So it's kind of a double-edged sword, really. So it's serving 2 purposes.
Brilliant. Very good, excellent. Well done, Dave, and welcome. Nice to see you, and I'll introduce you properly in a moment or two. Louise, would you? What's gone well for you? What's your good news?
Well, I'm just going to build on a couple of things that people have said already, actually. So first and foremost, and nothing to do with work, because I'll leave that to somebody else. My 18-year-old lockdown learner got all A's and A stars in his recent report.
Hey.
First time ever. And Scotland won the Calcutta Cup. Perfect.
Very good. All right, excellent, Louise. Caroline, would you like to?
I liked you, Louise.
Oh, I'm on mute. Mine's a bit boring, not like Simon's. I like that idea about the pubs being open soon, but mine's more thinking that the kids are going to be going back to school on the 8th of March. That's mine.
Good. All right, well done. And certainly from our perspective, then and it's a team effort. We've managed to get 50 plus businesses involved and up and running with the peer networks programs that we're doing in the last 4 weeks essentially. So that's really good. Right, fantastic. Well, let's crack on. So Caroline, are you're recording this to your computer or to the cloud, or what?
To the cloud.
I can't record now, but you're doing it, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So I'm going to share my screen just for a little couple of intros, but nothing much. So just a reminder of the session. This is what we're going to be doing today. We're a couple of minutes over, but we'll catch up. We'll catch up, and we've got a little bit of flexibility in the timing as well. But we're going to hear today from Doug and from David. Last month we heard from Juliet Barrett. You'll remember was a co-founder of the sports nutrition brand Grenade. So that was a fantastic session, and also from Dave Perigo. This time around, it's Doug Anderson, director of DT Studios, and we'll hear from Doug in just a moment. And he's going to talk around visual marketing, so that's looking forward to that. And also, I'd like to welcome Dave Grigg. And he's got a really fantastic story. So this is not about business, and we're looking for inspirational stories where people have set their sights on something and they've had to work hard, overcome some challenges to achieve it. And he's got an amazing story of the Arch to Arc sporting event and a major enduro man triathlon type event. So I think we're really looking forward to hearing about that. I not going to share the screens before. We'd talk about the scale up journey, but and that we're on a mission to really try and increase the number of businesses that want to scale up. We know that only about 4% of businesses in this country scale beyond 10 employees, and that's what we're on a mission to do. And the idea of the select membership here is that we're all exclusive invited businesses, and we can all play a part in that, and we can work together. And this is one of the things that we're trying to do to help us to all start to look for opportunities to collaborate, get to know each other, but really look not just simple referrals or things, but are there ways that we can collaborate and work together to really support the businesses that we're working with and help them on that journey to go. Essentially, as it's all around going further together. That African proverb, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And that's what we're about, is about that collaboration and really going together. So that's really all I think I wanted to say on that. In terms of introducing people, I'd like to Doug, if you wanted to share your screen now. So
yeah,
Doug's been this member for a little while, and obviously works with Terry at DT Studios, and they do some great work there. And Doug, you've got the floor for the next 15 minutes ish to take us through your. Is it working?
Hang on, and I want to share that one there. Oh, there it is.
There it goes.
Okay, let's go to the front slide and let's press play. Okay, right. Well, welcome everybody. I'm Doug Anderson from DT Studios. Thank you for the introduction from Kevin. I'm going to talk a little bit about visual marketing today, and how you can use visual marketing to increase your sales. So without further ado, quick word, don't go on to hiding or anything like that. I'm going to try and make this a little bit more interactive and ask some questions and stuff like that. So if you want to come off mute, press the bar and give me some answers, that'd be great, because I want to try and make it more interactive. So brilliant. I shall start. Okay. So I suppose the first question that I'm going to ask everybody is, why visual? Why is visual a good thing to be using for marketing? So I suppose anybody's got any ideas or anything like that, fire away. I know there are a few marketeers in the room, so yeah, I'm sure Jenny, Graham, you might want to pop it in.
And we can put them in chat as well, can't we?
Yeah, exactly. Put them in chat. Absolutely fine. Yeah, as well. So anybody's got any ideas, fire away, or I'll move on.
Picture paints 1,000 words.
Yeah, exactly. It does. Very good. Very good. That's a good one.
Joe said tells a story.
Yes.
Turns out more than text.
Yes, it does. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, those are good answers. I'll go through a few now so that we go on there. So the ones that we sort of pick out on are, well, images communicate much faster than text. Research says that, you know, you can process an image in 100 milliseconds, whereas text can take you up to 10 seconds to process. So if you want to get that message out there quickly, then visual is the way to do it. Images are memorable. So we tend to recall 65% of what we see, but only 10% of what we hear. Okay, the two are the same. You're more likely to people to open or to follow you on with images and video, and people are more likely to engage with visual content. Okay, so those are a few pieces of why we need to pick visual. Oh, and I suppose lastly, images and video sell. So what is visual marketing? So I think there's a little bit of a description. I don't know why that's come up straight away. I was going to ask the question, but I gave away the answer. Anybody got any ideas what you actually think visual marketing is?
I would say that's you know, going through a marketing process using visual materials as your main means of communication.
Perfect. Perfect. Well done, Philippe. Somebody in visual marketing. Yeah, very good, mate. Yeah, so the description that we use is visual marketing is the practice of using visual media such as images, design, video content to support your marketing campaign. Okay, so without further ado, I'm going to talk you through something that we created, something that we put together to help us to explain a process using visual marketing. So as you can see from this little drawing that we've got here, it's a bit like the sales funnel that you traditionally see. But at the top there, you've got awareness. You've really got to make people aware of what you do, where you are, yeah, and how you do it. And if you can do that, then you start to, they sort of go into a pot, or what we call a mixing pot, yeah, where you engage with them, yeah, and build your relationships. And then if you do that over a period of time, and nobody buys at anyone, I mean, very few people are ready to buy your products or services right away, okay, but they may want it over a period of time. That might be a month, 3 months, 6 months, a year. But what you need to do is if you keep engaging with these people, yeah, then eventually they're going to come to that point where they're going to buy. And if you've kept engaging with them, you're going to be in the driving seat when that comes around. And it helps to fight this problem that we all come across with the feast and famine. I think we've all come across that, where you're working on a big project, yeah, you're putting lots of time and effort into it, you're not necessarily putting enough into your marketing, and when the project finishes, you think, oh, I've got nothing to go now. So it tries to get over that feast and famine process. So we'll start at the top where we get awareness. So anybody got any ideas how we can create awareness?
Constantly drip feeding, I think. So you don't want to put something out there and then disappear for 2 months. So on the channels where you want people to see you, you want to be very regularly putting lots of different things.
Absolutely, yeah, getting out there on a regular basis is one. Yeah, that's very good. Yeah, anybody else?
Put something out there where you've got like a continuous story going on. You know, you put something out and then people need to follow again to see the next sort of installment and how things progress.
Yeah, storytelling, brilliant. Yeah, absolutely fantastic. Yeah, telling your stories, great idea. Okay, I'll go through a few of what we've put down. Well, you need to promote yourself. Yeah, this is how we create awareness, and all those two are part of that process. So yeah, we need to promote ourselves out there. We need to be constantly out there. One of the ways we can promote ourselves is through advertising. Yeah, so that could be paid advertising. It could be something like that. You don't know where these people are. They don't know you. So paid advertising is a good way of getting yourself out there to in front of these people so that you can create that awareness. Okay, another one, PR, regular PR, keeping in front, keeping updated, going to events, going to everything, and keeping yourself out there. And as you said, Joe, storytelling. Tell your story, tell everything, tell everybody about what you do and how you do it, and eventually they'll have this awareness about who you are. So those are some ways that we can use to create awareness. Okay. So that's another question. How can we engage with clients? Are there any good ideas we've got there?
Provoking an emotion of some kind, interest, curiosity, fear, you know, something that resonates with something that they're feeling, because it's a need they need to fulfill, so they might click on it.
Absolutely, yeah. Interest is great. Keep an interest. Keep an interest. Keep talking about interesting things. And I think I've put down a few here that we can do. We can comment on stuff that they put out there. So if they put in stuff out there on a regular basis, you've got to comment on it and return to it. We've got to inspire them. So, you know, we've got to put stories out there, do stuff that's going to inspire them. We can inform and educate them. Yeah, so we can do, you know, how-to videos, that sort of thing. Oh, gone too far. There we go. Okay. So those are a few of the ideas that we can use. So, but what channels can we use? What channels can we use to get out there and educate and engage with people, advertise to people? What channels could we possibly use there?
Ones our clients are on.
Yeah, exactly. But there are lots of different ones. But you've got to find out and do the research as to exactly where people are and what they're doing. But a lot of it could be on social media channels. Yeah, whatever channels they're specifically on. It could be that you decide to do some paid advertising. Yeah, so you could go out there again across the social media channels. If you're B2C, it's going to be different to B2B, for existent. Email is another one. Yeah, you can try emailing people, and you can put together your website. There's another one that is TV advertising, and of course, as Joe Whittleson will know, printed media. Again, we can get out there with whatever we want. We can send direct mail, or we can put ads in magazines or articles in magazines. So there's a few channels that you could use to get awareness out there and to engage with your clients. But what could we possibly do? Yeah, what could we do that would give them some interest? Well, I think from my point of view, you need to create meaningful visual content, yeah, that will stand out and capture the imagination of your audience. That could be, hang on, there we go, we're going too fast here. That could be, you can create videos, little videos. There's a lot of different types of videos that you can do. We'll talk through a few now. I'll just go through these quickly, and then we can have some ideas of what you could do. So promotional videos, yeah, you can create yourself a nice promo video, which advertises your products or services. Brand video that advertises your brand, yeah, so really affecting the perception of what people see of you. You could create case studies on particular jobs that you've done. You could do success stories, yeah, so great success. If you won a big order or a big tender, put out a story that tells about that. You could do testimonials from clients, yeah, you've got a really happy client, get a testimonial from them, put it on video. It stands out really well. You can produce how-to videos. Again, these are great for creating trust explainer videos. Again, Philippe does a lot of these, and they're great for explaining the processes and everything that you go through. Similar thing with process videos in manufacturing, do the same sort of thing. So you can see, and vlogs, and you can see there's quite a lot of things that you can do out there, and those are just a few, okay? Photography, what can we do in photos and images? What images can we create? We've got advertising photography, which is great for putting stuff out there. So do some really, really nice images. If you've got a product, this is fantastic. Again, product photography, if you've got a specific product, excellent. Editorial photography, this is more website stuff. So if you've got a website, you put some really nice images on there. PR photography, great. If you've got an event or something going on, then capture it and get those images out there. And all of this design, And all of these help to really give you a presence out there on social media, a visual presence. Then there's design, and with all of the above, we can include graphic design, illustrations, motion effects and animation, which can support really all the visual aspects that we've got. So I think what we need to do now is just ask the question, if we did all of that, how do we convert this interest into orders? Anybody got any ideas?
So 60
you
million.
Saw it earlier. Yeah, it's there.
Ask, engage. Yeah.
Yeah. It's all there. It's following this process really. And if you do that, so you create, going back to what we said at the start, which is you create the awareness of who you are, what you do. Yeah. You bring people in and then you engage with them, you build that relationship, and then that relationship should make getting those orders much, much easier than it would have done had you not followed this process. So that's really it. That's me. That's us. And thank you very much. Any questions, anybody?
Yeah, let's open the floor to questions. Maybe if I'm just going to try and change the screen so that I can see if people have maybe captured that and got Terry's details. Maybe you could stop sharing for a second, Doug, and then we can
just noticed that last slide has got Terry's on instead of mine, but never mind, it'll do get to the same place.
presumably it's Doug at DT Studios.
It is Doug at DT Studios, but it doesn't matter.
All right, do you want to stop sharing for the moment then?
Oh, hang on a sec. Yeah, how do I do that? Exit. Hopefully that won't send me out of the whole thing.
Brilliant. That's super.
There we go. Okay.
Doug, thank you very much for that. That was excellent. Really good. So yeah, round of applause for Doug. And let's see who's got any questions for Doug. I'm sure. Yeah, Peter. There you are.
It's a question in one way, I suppose, Doug. Have you noticed? Obviously, it's you're talking about engagement. It's about if you get the engagement, then you will hope that orders will follow if you do it right. Are there any statistics in recent times through COVID and latterly, as opposed to the early times of COVID, where engagement went upwards in many areas because people were just looking for answers and ideas? And it seems to me that in a number of areas, people are tired, and because they're tired, they're not engaging in the same way as they were doing. And that's a perception. I don't know if you feel that's true or not.
It's always true. I think the thing is like the more that goes on there, the more that people are out there engaging on social media, the more videos that are on social media, then the harder you have to work to get noticed. And that's always going to be the case, you know, and this is why we're always trying new things. We're always trying to step up a little bit, do something different, you know. We've recently done photographs, we've put orange backgrounds on them, yeah, so that you stand out a little bit more whenever anybody's flicking through. Yeah, yours pops up because you've got a good one there, Peter. And it's just those little bit of differences that you can make to try and get you to stand out there. And your content has to be so much better now from where it used to be. You know, when there weren't so many videos around, it was a novelty to see a video. When there are hundreds of videos, the better ones stand out. So you're trying to think and plan a little bit harder to make it a little bit better. So yes, I do think it's getting harder and harder as the highways are a bit fuller.
Do you think that means that the old phrase "less is more" it holds true in that case? In other words, better quality, but less of it will stand out better if you do a good job as opposed to trying to flood it.
I think so. Yes, I think so. Yeah, that's my perception on it. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Good. Yes, Philip.
Doug, in your experience, how much content does one need to develop to maintain that level of engagement, where it's, you know, enough engagement to eventually secure clients?
It really depends upon where they are in the stage. I mean, what you're trying to develop is trust. Yeah, you're building that relationship so that they trust you. Yeah. And by drip feeding out little bits of information all the time, yeah, so you're creating little testimonials, little case studies of work that you've done that people are seeing on a regular basis, and you're building that trust. Now, how long does it take is a difficult question to answer, because it depends when they're in that buying mode. Because, you know, a client might not have the need for your services, yeah, for several months, yeah. But by the time they get to that process, they'll have heard enough about you and what you do to that in your mind, yeah, if you've done a good enough job of it, yeah, you've got that order. All you've got to do is give them the cost, yeah. They already know that they're going to buy from you. They've already decided that, and that's what you're trying to do. That's what you're trying to put into their mind, or to put yourself at least at that level where maybe you're higher than everybody else, so you're in the driving seat. That can take, you know, and that can probably take a very short period of time, really, but it depends upon when they're ready to buy.
Okay. How many posts do you guys do per day, let's say on LinkedIn?
We try to do at least one post a day. We do a regular thing, generic thing that we put out there. And then we've got a plan now. I'm just redoing my plan for LinkedIn, where I'm going to be doing several posts. Yeah. And one will be a monthly post. One will be every fortnight, and one will be a weekly thing. And then I'll get my everyday ones as well. So yeah, we're putting content out, but we're trying to strategically show the different areas of the business and build this trust up. So yeah, we're doing sort of product shoots. We'll be doing filming little product shoots, behind the scenes stuff. We'll be putting out a piece to camera, yeah, where we talk about the marketing aspect of the business. And then we'll be doing, there'll be a small, just photographs, just finished photographs of images of products and stuff that we'll be putting straight out there. So hopefully all of this will start to build some trust. And Terry started to do that on Instagram as well, with regular posts that he's putting out there. So yeah, it's a hard job, but I think it's necessary, because it does return the results. The results that we've seen from doing this campaign have been great. You know, we're getting good engagement with good clients at the moment, and we're getting some orders through from them. So it does work.
All right, very good. Maybe time for one more question, and we can always come back maybe at the end if there's any more questions after we've heard from Dave. But anybody got another question for Doug? No burning questions? All right, brilliant. I think that's fantastic. Well done, Doug. Thank you very much again.
And Doug.
Really good stuff there, and it is a real challenge, isn't it? It's like it's almost like, how long's a piece of string? How much do we need to spend to get, you know, to get to that level? And it kind of, I mean, I'm not sure if this is a fair question really, but you know, maybe the other way to look at it is, most of us have got a limited budget of, say, you know, a few £100 or something. You know, what would be the few things that we should start with that would probably have the most impact?
Yeah, I would start by getting out there with little face-to-face videos and start building yourself up with that. It's easy to do. You can go with a mobile phone and a basic light from desk light, yeah, and just make it look quite good. And think about subjects and plan it so that you're giving out regular top tips or little comments or regular things, and do those on a regular basis, yeah, and then build it up from there. You know, if it starts to get really popular, then improve on it and improve on it, improve it. But just get yourself out there is my advice. Start doing it now.
Good, lovely. Right, thanks very much, Doug. Fantastic. So what I'd like to do now is to introduce David Grigg. So thanks to Dave Perigo for introducing us and suggesting that we invite David on. We've had a quick chat, and I know we're going to love this story and hear all sorts of challenges that David had overcome in this in wanting to do this Arch to Arc event. So, David, did you want to share your? Would you rather share your screen, or yeah, it's probably better, isn't it, if you bring it up yourself. Save you saying next slide and all of those things. So if you'd like to do that, and then over to you. Brilliant.
Come up, okay. Lost my mouse.
There you are. That's come through.
Just lost my mouse. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, all good.
Good. Afternoon, everyone. I know there's some friendly faces. I know some of you. I don't know others. So apologies for those I may have already bored before with this story. Hopefully, you'll take something valuable away from it. So Dave Perrigo, I know, has heard this before. I've known Dave for a number of years now, and Dave's heard this story before, and he kind of kindly passed me on to Kevin. Kevin was looking for somebody to do a talk, so happy to do it. And hopefully, I'm just going to talk through the story and reminisce on what we did and how we got there. Explain what the challenge was and some of the challenges we had along the way. That hopefully you just take one thing away that maybe you can help you with personal life, business life, whatever. I'm not going to try and extract things from it to kind of force ideals onto you, but just trying to share the story, and hopefully you can come away with some ideas and maybe fit into what you do. I know for me personally, when we did this event, I took so much from it and so much learning experience from it that I drag into my own personal life, my life as a parent, my life as a business owner, all those kind of things where I use those lessons that I learned from this particular experience in my life. And hopefully you can drag one of those things out. So thanks for taking time every day, and thanks for listening to me. Kevin's kind of given me half an hour remit to speak. I could probably talk about this all day, if I'm honest, because it's quite, you know, it's quite nice to shoehorn it into a bragging conversation, but I can talk about it as long as I like. I notice you've all done the etiquette thing where you put yourself on mute, but please feel free to take yourself off on mute and give me some heckling. It's going to be fairly difficult to talk to a screen for half an hour, so feel free. I know Jenny's smiling; she's probably looking forward to giving me some abuse. So feel free to jump in whenever you wish. I know there's some time for questions at the end, but if you think there's a question you can jump in and you want to have a conversation about, then I'm happy to do that. Keep it interactive. So who am I? So my name's Dave Grigg, and where did the Arch to Arc come from? So just before the Arch to Arc, I grew up enjoying sport, enjoying running. I ran England schoolboys, I ran regional cross-country championships, etc. And I loved running. I enjoyed running, it was my thing. Got to around 16, 17, discovered beer and women, and stopped doing that a little bit. So yeah, it kind of went by the wayside for a little bit. But then in my early 20s, I started racing triathlon and doing the shorter distances to start with, so swim, bike and run, and eventually working up to Ironman distance. So Ironman distance of triathlon is a 2.4 mile swim, 112 mile bike ride, and then a marathon. So it's a full day triathlon. It's a long distance event, and I started doing those kind of things. Whilst I was training for that, like-minded people tend to attract. So I met a guy while I was training, and we were looking to do a charity event whilst we were doing that and raise some money for charity. And also at the time, it was not only doing that charity event, but to raise money for charity now, you've kind of got to do something out of the norm. So we researched and we came across the Arch to Arc, which I'll come on to the details in a moment about the actual event. But the Arch to Arc, essentially, the other thing we saw was there was a record available, and the current record when we first started out doing it was owned by a team by British Gas, or sponsored by British Gas, and it was 67 hours. And we kind of did the calculations that we could smash that record. So we set everything out up to kind of say, right, we're going to go for that record and try and achieve the record to get from London to Paris in the quickest time. So that's where we got to. So what I've already mentioned about the takeaway today, what I hope you'll get today is just one thing that you could that resonates with you. I know I always go to these kind of, when you listen to these business talks, often what happens is it just reminds you of things you already knew, but you're not doing, and I get that all the time. So hopefully maybe it reaffirms something you already knew, but you're not doing. Maybe you can kind of drive it into your habits in your daily occurrences, and get one underlying message. Just one of the things that ran through our planning for the Arch to Arc was the right environment, and this actually happened after the Arch to Arc, but it really resonates with me, and it's about the right environment. And one of the biggest things we had within the team was the right environment. I was fortunate enough a few years ago to go to a leadership and management course at Loughborough University. And if you get a chance, Google this guy, because he's an absolute legend. He's a guy called Ian Arminger. And he's basically been the British swimming coach for the last 20 plus years. He's had numerous Commonwealth titles, numerous British champions, Olympic champions. He's coached Adam Peaty. He's a kind of guy, and his mantra about the right environment was second to none. And it's really kind of what he'd get across when I went on his course. He would turn up at the pool at 4:30 every single morning, ready to get everything ready for when his athletes turned up at 5:30. So they saw his image there, they saw his habit, they saw what he was doing. Okay, the fine minutiae he put into place for that environment was the temperature of the pool. They researched the temperature of the pool. They researched the pH level, the chemical pH level of the pool for the best catch in the water so that they can get the best times. They'd even researched the baffles in the middle of the water. They'd researched the baffles at the side of the water so to keep the water as flat as possible instead of the waves building up. So when they're swimming, the waves don't interrupt the swimmer and get the maximum speed out of the pool. They also, the environment, the lighting, the heating temperature outside the pool, and also the music that the athletes used to come into in certain training sessions to motivate them to do different things. The right environment, he drilled that down to a kind of an art form. And I think it's really important with anything you're trying to achieve is making sure you're in that right environment. You've got the right things around you to breed success in whatever you're looking to do. And I really that message really resonated with me. And I thought it was fantastic. And how can we kind of relate that back into our businesses and into our life, I think is a massive lesson. One of the two key mantras we had within the Arch to Arc when we were doing the thinking and the planning was asking ourselves two key questions. And the two key questions were, does it take the thinking out of it? We knew when we're doing the event, we're going to be tired. So does it stop us having to make that decision when we're tired? Can we make that decision now and pre-plan for it? And also, does it make us get there quicker? So if it didn't do those two things, it went on the back burner. But if it did those two things, we went into the mix and we discussed it to try and make sure that we took the thinking out and that we got there faster. And that was the two things to keep. So that was the whole premise of what the environment we were going to create was. So the Arch to Arc, to give you an overview on the Arch to Arc, what is the Arch to Arc? It's a non-stop triathlon from London to Paris in more detail. So we, as a relay, it was a 1 hour rotation non-stop. So we started at Marble Arch, and we had an 87-mile run from Marble Arch to Dover. We then had a channel swim crossing, 25 miles at the shortest point, and then 187-mile cycle to Paris. And everything that we did within the environment, everything we did with regards to the challenge had to revolve around the tide times with the channel. We could only go at certain times within tide times, and also how the conditions in the channel were. So another kind of mantra that we had was, when you're mapping out your goals, we often got goals, where are we trying to get to? Mapping out the goals from B to A. So where are we trying to get to in the end? And so that we can work back to make sure we achieve that. So we knew we had to get into the sea at a certain point. So we had to work back our start time at Marble Arch to make sure that when we calculated our running times, we could get there at the right point to get the best sea conditions to then get across the sea as quickly as possible to then get onto our bikes. So fairly simple, really, when you think about it. Any questions so far? I'm mindful I'm talking at a screen. It's really strange.
That's phenomenal. I think that's some really good lessons already, Dave.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just honestly, feel free to shout out. I will proceed. Mentioned about the right environment, and we also know about the right people. So the right people in your team, but not only the right people in your team, but the right people in the right place. So, because sometimes we've got the right people in our team, but are they in the right place? How do we know they're in the right place? How do we know that person's the right fit for that job? Or have they just kind of fallen into that job because nobody else wanted to do it, or because they've kind of put their hand up? Making sure we monitor who's in the right place. And I'm going to come on to that in a second. Kevin, could you keep me up to date with time as well? Because I haven't started a clock or anything, so I might kind of babble on and stuff. So just cut me short if you need to.
Yeah, you're fine for the moment. Yep.
Great. Okay. Yeah. So have you got the talent positioned in the right place? And do you know the talents of your team? And who's best at what scenario? So, for example, just to kind of introduce us all, that's me on the left there. That's me there with my eyes closed, obviously scared about something. Next to me is Tom. Tom was a national level swimmer. So Tom is a phenomenal swimmer. We've got next to him with Nick. And again, we did some massive amounts of planning. Nick was actually our reserve, just in case one of the guys got injured. So Nick was our 7th team member. Didn't actually compete, but he was a massive support to the crew. Then we've got Stu in the middle. Stu's a cyclist, so Stu's strong in his cycling form. Ed there, next to him with the short hair or no hair, is a phenomenal swimmer. He was the quickest out of a lot of us in terms of swimming. Then we've got Big Rob with a hairy back and nicknamed Chewbacca. He's a triathlete, similar to me, so we're both triathletes, so all round fitness guys, and he's obviously a big lad, 6'4", Rob. And then we've got Luke, and Luke's also an elite level swimmer. So we had 3 really good swimmers in the team. We had a good cyclist, and we had 2 triathletes for all round skill sets. So the event took us, from London to Paris, but the event actually started 18 months before we started the event. We had 18 months of planning. And we had lots of things to put in place. So we wanted to create press coverage. We wanted to create money for charity. So I had a goal of raising 15k for charity. So we wanted to get some press coverage for that. We ended up with an appearance on Midlands Today, which was great. Gave us some really good coverage. They did a piece on Midlands Today for us. We did some marketing. So talking about what Doug was talking about earlier, we had to get ourselves out there, try and get people to support us, try and snaffle some free kit. Try and snaffle a free minibus and get some donations to get us across the start line. It cost us $5,000 just to get on the start line for support crew, nutrition, kit, channel swim, the boat, the pilot boat that we needed, and all those kind of things. So there's lots of logistics going on in the background, making sure that we got everything prepped out. And we planned contingency plans for everything as well, and we put everything in place. What could possibly go wrong? If it does, what are we going to do? We wanted to take the thinking out before we started the event, so that we didn't have to think when we were tired. That was the main key. And then that created momentum. It got us over those challenges. We allocate the tasks to everybody, and it meant that we overcame those things that maybe would have stopped us in our tracks, and maybe created a bit of inertia to stop us actually thinking maybe we can't do this. We had everyone on account. Everyone had a piece. Everyone had a section they were accountable for, and because they were accountable for it, and because you're part of a team, you feel responsible that you've got to do your part, and you don't want to let everybody else down. So that was massive within the team. We had a great team spirit, constant meetings, and making sure that everyone knew what their role was, and everyone wanted to kind of pull together for the team, not only in the training element. So there's lots of planning going on. One of the key challenges, and one of the things I really want to kind of share with you, is a personal challenge for me, really. So to do the challenge, we all had to qualify to swim the English Channel. We had to prove that you could swim non-stop for 2 hours in temperatures below 15 degrees. Now I'm a skinny lad. I'm a little bit heavier than I was then, but I'm a skinny lad. I was, low percentage body fat, and I don't really do cold too well. I'm not really a big fan of the cold. But what we had to do in the March before the June was go and do a 2-hour qualification swim in Bournemouth. And this was kind of a really poignant point for me. I put everything together with Stu, put the team together, put all this work into place. We're now going down to qualify in Bournemouth for the swim. And we got down to Bournemouth, and the temperature in Bournemouth of the sea at that time was in March was 8 degrees. So if you imagine your local swimming pool's probably around 24, 25 degrees, you can kind of imagine what kind of 8 degrees feels like. It's not very pretty. We went down there in the morning, jumped into the water, or walked in tentatively like a monkey getting into a hot bath. He was kind of a bit shaky and trying to avoid the cold. The water was freezing cold. It was literally like putting your face into an icebox. It was horrible. I got in with a wetsuit, and the idea with a wetsuit is the wetsuit allows water in. The water then fills the wetsuit, and your body apparently warms that water up and gives you a layer of, heat between you and the wetsuit. Not sure that my wetsuit was working on the day, so we got into the water for the first hour. We were allowed to get out after an hour to get a drink. And when I got into the water, my kind of first goal in my head was I just need to get this first hour out of the way. I was slowing down, my lips were blue, and we were getting to a point where it was really, really cold in that water. And I naively thought, if I can just get to the hour, I can get a drink, I can warm up for a couple of minutes, and then I can get back in the water and do my second hour, no problem. I got through that first hour. I got out of the water to come and get a drink. And again, the guys were saying, "Oh, your lips are blue, you're kind of really struggling." I knew I had to get back in, so I couldn't let the team down. I naively thought in those 2 minutes that I would warm up. Didn't really happen. But I went back towards the water to get back in the water, and just trying to crack on with what I was doing. I lasted about another 5 or 6 minutes before I literally couldn't carry on swimming, and I failed the qualification swim. I had to pull myself out of the water. I came out of the water, couldn't really talk because it was too cold. Couldn't take the lid off my bottle because it was too cold, and ended up going and getting in the support van, turning the heaters on, and staying in there for a couple of hours to try and warm up. In that moment, that time when I was there, I knew I'd let the team down. If I couldn't qualify, I couldn't swim. I couldn't be part of the event, and that's all that was running around my head. Fortunate enough to me, 10 minutes after I failed, big hairy Rob also failed. So I had an accomplice who'd failed as well. And again, it sounds hard now, it sounds bad now, but it actually relieved me a little bit because the pressure was off me as the individual who failed the swim. The other 4 guys went on to qualify. The other 4 guys stayed in for the 2 hours. They went on to qualify, and they came out and they were freezing cold. And they absolutely hammered me and Rob with banter for about the next 10 days. Me and Rob had to pull ourselves together, sort ourselves out, and do it again. And cut a long story short, we went and did it again. I didn't get out of the water the second time. I just stayed in the water, carried on, and did the 2 hour swim just to make sure I could be on the start line. Thoughts that were going through my mind at that point were, if I can't do it, what am I going to do? I can't be part of the event. Am I going to be part of this support crew? Would my ego let me be part of the support crew if I can't do the swim? So I was in a rough place, but it's overcoming that fear of failure and having the big enough why to drive you back in to go, do you know what? I'm going to go and do it. I really want to do this. This is what I set out to do. I'm not going to have it beat me. What do I need to do to get over that point? And having a big enough reason to go and do it. Yeah, I could go on about that for a long time. It was a real big poignant point for me. How are we doing for time, Kevin?
Got 15 minutes if you need it.
Okay, perfect.
That's great stuff.
Great. So the other good benefit we had was because both Luke and Ed were Birmingham University old boys and part of Birmingham University, we got offered the chance for them to do some sports testing for us. So they put a training program together for us where they measured us first, lactate threshold training, and put a training package together for us so we can maximise who was best at what and what positions we should go in terms of the event. Now these things you can see there, so that's Rob there on the treadmill, and you can see he's tied to a harness above him. And behind there's a bike, which I think that's Tom on the bike there. And basically what we were doing was lactate threshold testing. So basically you go on the bike or the runner, and they slowly increase the speed or the resistance. And every minute they take some blood from your finger, and they measure the lactate in your body to realise how hard your body's working. At a certain point, your body will basically say, it's got too much lactate in it, and it will just kind of fold down, and your muscles will stop working. You get lactate above lactate threshold. The harness that Rob's in there is basically they're going to push you so hard that you're going to fail, and the harness is there to catch you because you're running so fast and you run out of gas. And that's how hard we were pushing. So we're pushing us to the point where you're going to get that sick feeling in your lungs, and you've got to that point, so you're really pushing your body. And it was great. It was a great thing to do to push yourself to failure, know where your limits are, know what you can do, and then also train yourself to get better. They put the plan together to actually say, this is what you need to do to get better. How can I get to the next level? And that's what we did. We did this 9 months out. So we had a 9-month training plan to get us all up to level, all up to fitness. And yeah, it was an enjoyable thing to do and push ourselves to the limit. From that, it gave us the positions where we needed to be. It gave us the strongest runners. So we already knew the strongest swimmers. It gave us the strongest runners, and it gave us the strongest cyclists in terms of what we could push out, the numbers we could push out. So we positioned ourselves accordingly. We monitored the map of where we were going, and we gave the runners the flattest sections so they could open their legs up and get us there quicker. We gave the cyclists the flatter cycling sections so they could open their legs up and they could put full gas down to make sure we get there as quickly as possible. And we already positioned the swimmers based on their level of swimmability. So the 3 sections in the run. So we started from Marble Arch, and when we were coming out of London, we positioned the weaker runners first, a couple of the weaker runners first, because they're running through the city. They can't open their legs up. So we left Marble Arch at 5 o'clock on the evening, and I was the best runner in the group. Running is my thing, and it always has been. So I got positioned number 4 in the run. So we'd already been out and about for 3 hours. I'm on the road running, and my kind of ego when I first got onto the run, and I've been waiting 3 hours like a wasp in a Tic Tac box in that minibus, waiting to go for 3 hours. When by the time we got to the point where I was on the road, I was pretty excited to get going and do my bit for the team. I knew that I could, if I could run 6-minute mile pace, I could do 10 miles in my hour slot, and that's what I was aiming for. Had my Garmin runner on it, etc. When I went, I came off the minibus and I did the tag with Luke. Luke tagged me in, and I went running. And within the first 800 meters, I'd run out of breath. I was gassed. I was like, "What's going on here?" It's because I've been sat in the minibus and I'm cooped up. Why am I out of breath? I've only been running for literally a couple of minutes. What's going wrong? And I've carried on anyway because the minibus is scooting by us and doing a leapfrog past me to kind of keep the support going. And I'm still out of breath, and I'm wondering what's going on. And after the first mile, my Garmin beeped, and I looked down, and I'd done the first mile in 5 minutes and 7 seconds. I'd gone far too quickly. I'd got far too excited wanting to do my bit, and I'd gone way ahead of pace. And this is about taking the thinking out of it. So straight away, I've looked at the watch. I'm going too fast. I need to slow down. I'm getting too excited. These are the things that we were doing to make sure we took the thinking out of what we were doing. Okay, so then I just calmed down, settled into my pace, and knocked out my numbers. So I wanted to do the best for the team, but also I need to work within my limits. I need to work within what I'm doing, because if I don't, I'm no good to anyone. I'm no good if I gas myself and I can't do my second run slot, and then I can't do my swim and I can't do the bike. I've got to be in the right position to do the right things for my team. So it's knowing those things. It's keeping hold of the monkey inside you that wants to get out and rip the road up, which is what happened. The run went well. We did okay on the run. It was fantastic. Halfway through the run, we knew that we might not be able to get to do the channel because the weather conditions were too bad. We were being told that we might not be able to do the swim at all because the swelling in the sea was too big, and we might end up voiding the challenge. So we were kind of nervous about that anyway. But we carried on with the run, and we did really well with the run, and we did the run in under 11 hours. And we got to Dover in the early hours of the morning in the darkness. Still 50-50 whether we were going to be able to do the channel or not. And we did it. Obviously, we were allowed to get into the channel, and we were allowed to go and do that thing. What I should also say is when I talked about the record, when we first set out to do it, the record was 67 hours, and we'd done our maths and we knew we were going to smash 67 hours. We kind of, as long as everything went well, we were going to smash that record. 3 weeks before we set out, having told everyone we're going to do a record and all the marketing material going to run a record, another team went out from Butcher's Military Fitness, and they did it in 39 hours. And they dropped the record down by a big chunk. So we were like, we'd kind of gauged for like 43, 44, and they just kind of ruined our whole marketing plan basically. But we're obviously still going for it. And then we had this trouble with the channel swim where the weather was going to be terrible. But we're just cracking on. We're doing what we're doing, controlling the controllables, doing what we do, and just carrying on and be as best as we can, you know. But we got into the sea. We're allowed to get in. And we put the 3 strongest swimmers in first. So Ed went first, then Luke, then Tom, and they had really struggled. We were massively behind schedule because of the weather, and then after 3 hours, the sea just went flat, went pan flat. And I'd been speaking to the pilot boat, and I said, you know, where are we in terms of distance? And he gave me the figure where we were, and we were miles beyond where we should have been. Unbeknownst to me at the time, he'd given me the figure in nautical miles, which is 1.15 miles. So he's telling me in nautical miles. I'm thinking he's on land miles, and I got the wrong figure. So I'm even further behind where we thought we should have been anyway. That's me because I'm a Midlands lad who doesn't really go to the sea very often. So we were behind schedule, and then Rob jumps in a mill pond and smashes out an hour swim. And Rob had been on the boat for 3 hours suffering from seasickness. He'd been throwing up over the side of the boat for 3 hours. His swim slot was coming up. We didn't even know he was going to be able to get in the water or not. I went to give him a pep talk and say, you know, you okay, Rob? So he threw up over the side of the boat, wiped his chin, pulled his wetsuit on and jumped in the water. And he smashed out his hour. I jumped in after Rob, again, flat mill pond. Stu jumped in, flat mill pond. And then the 3 boys jumped back in, who were even quicker than we were, and we were back on track. And again, we did the swim. We did the swim in just under 11 hours. So we were back on target for the record. We were back on target for the record. We were actually ahead of schedule again. We'd been awake, you know, at this point about 30 hours, 35 hours. And we had an 187-mile bike ride to go to Paris. But we were on track. We'd gone through the kind of rough bits. We'd had some setbacks. There's more setbacks we had on the run as well, which I haven't gone into, but there were things that we were doing. But because we took the thinking out of it at the beginning, and because we were just making sure we just got there as quick as we can, and everyone knew their role, on the minibus we had rotations. So you basically, you were either the athlete on the road, you were in recovery, you had 2 hours recovery, so you had 3 seats to yourself, so there were 3 hours. Then you were in admin role, so basically you were doing everything, every decision that needed to make. You had your sheet, you were making decisions for the athlete on the road, you're making sure you had a nutrition, making sure everything was correct. You had gear setups, different spare wheels. You were the admin guy, you were looking after that. And then hour 5, you were basically prepping for your next role. So you had every single thing taken care of. And that's where it counted, especially when we got on the bike. Everyone was tired because we were getting challenges coming towards us. It was getting fractious. It was getting, you know, the banter had changed to kind of, it was getting a little bit more difficult because people were tired. But we'd taken that element away. We'd taken that element away of anybody to make any confusion. Just crack on, do your role. Yeah. And that's where it counted. The bike went well again. You know, we cracked on with the bike, and everyone did their role. We were tired, but we knew our numbers. We cycled through the night. Because we obviously arrived we did the swim through the day, and then we arrived in Calais in the early evening. So we were cycling in the dark. And as we were on the bike, we were all doing our roles, all doing our slots. Me and Rob, the strongest cyclists in the group, so we've been given 2 really good slots. I'd actually invested in an off-road mountain bike light, which was quite a strong light, so I could see the road. Imagine cycling through rural villages in France on this bike. And the minibus had been leapfrogging us all the way along on the run and on the swim, on the bike, sorry, to get in front of us on the road. And as we're getting tired, the cheers from the minibus were becoming a bit less enthusiastic, you know, as we carried on. And I remember we were cycling through a French village, and I'm coming down this hill with this big mountain bike light on. The minibus is up ahead, and I can see them up ahead. And usually, kind of when you're coming up, someone was there. At least someone say, "You okay? Do you need any drink or anything?" And nobody noticed me at all. They didn't kind of say anything to me. And I thought, that's strange. Maybe there's something going wrong. Maybe they're looking at a map or whatever it is, and carried on. Anyway, it turns out because I had the big light on and they didn't kind of see me coming down the road, and because I was coming down a hill, they confused me for a motorbike. So I was quite proud of that moment because obviously I was going at a decent speed to get past them. So yeah, that was quite an interesting point. We then got into Paris. You know, the route into Paris, up the Champs-Élysées. If any of you are into cycling, the Champs-Élysées is a mecca for cyclists. It's the end of the Tour de France and all that kind of thing. And Luke took the baton there, and Luke finished things off. and we got into Paris, and everything worked well, and the teamwork had come together. And when we landed in Paris, we stopped the clock in 35 hours and 53 minutes, and took the record, which kind of pulled it all together. And that's the team there. So that's the team on the Champs-Élysées early morning on Saturday. So we've got Big Rob on the right, then Luke, me in the middle, Ed, Tom, Ed, Stu and Tom. And then on the end is Andy Mountsley, who works for a company called Enduroman, who ratified the challenge with the timings and everything else. And it's, yeah, and that was kind of journey. I could talk about it for a long time. It's something that's, I've pulled a lot of lessons from it. And those habits that you get from things like that, you pull into your personal life, and you pull into things that you do to kind of, one habit forces another habit, in my opinion. And we're never better than when we've been challenged. We force ourselves to find new solutions and find ourselves to do different things. I think when we're at challenge, we're our most successful. That's kind of me.
Yeah.
What I hope you've got is a takeaway. If you can pull one thing from it, then great. And I'll open up to questions in a minute. But in summary, the things that we did was the right environment, having the right people in that environment to contribute to it, having the right people around you. We had a big support crew around us as well. But not only the right people around you, but the right people in the right places, and making sure you checked and monitored that, and making sure everyone's comfortable with it, and then planning the route from B to A. And one of my kind of favourite sayings is stretch your comfort zone. It's like a muscle; it never goes back the same size. Once you've achieved something, you can pass that message on, and you can do great things.
That's fantastic. Fantastic, Dave. Absolutely brilliant. Let's have a round of applause for David. Yeah, really inspirational. I one of the obvious questions is why, but absolutely.
That was my question, Kev. Why?
The main reason why at the time was because we wanted to do something for charity. It was doing something out of the ordinary. It was doing something that other people aren't. And when it stands out on a page, he's got, and that for that reaction there, I guess. And when we were doing it, we didn't actually realise what how big it may sound to somebody else. But it was when you say that, and when you say swim the English Channel, people kind of they step back a little bit and take notice. That was the main reason why.
No, absolutely amazing. And as Louise put in the chat, so many nuggets and takeaways out of that apply, as you say, to personal lives, but definitely to business life as well. So let's open the floor up to questions. I think we'll sacrifice the breakout room that we were planning on doing, breakout session, and just stick with some questions, because I think there's going to be loads. So who'd like to kick off with a question? Andy, yes, go ahead.
Dave, well done. Well, congratulations, first of all.
Thanks,
if I don't know if it has been beaten, but if the record got beaten again, would you do it all over again?
No, I wouldn't. No, not at all, Andy. I mean, I've got 3 children now, and yeah, it was so much time. It was so time consuming. We were training probably 18 hours a week in the gym. Like 17 to 20 hours a week in the gym. Going off for 4 or 5 hour bike rides, and then going for a run off the back of that. It doesn't really accommodate family life.
Brilliant.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. Somebody else must have a question, surely. Yeah, Dave Perigo.
I have a massive event to go through with all those people. Do you still keep in touch with them all?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, not as much as we should, but everyone's got families. Everyone's got their own family life now, and time gets in the way, like I say. But we do keep in touch, and it's it's one of those things that pulls you together, isn't it? It was a great event to be a part of. Again, I think all the things just fell into one place at one point. Finding people that kind of me and Stu, the network around. So I knew Rob, and Stu knew the other 3 swimmer guys. So it was kind of pulling that team together. But yeah, we do keep in touch.
Did you lose any weight, Dave?
Yeah, well, I was already a skinny thing at the time. So because I was racing for Ironman anyway, I was already a skinny thing. Hence my lack of body fat to keep me warm in the water.
Jenny, yes.
Was there ever a point that you or anyone else in the team went, oh, this just isn't worth it, we're just, you know, I just want to give up, or, you know, and also was the fact that you were going for that records, you know, if you'd have just done it but not had that record breaking thing in mind, do you think you would have changed anything or done it differently and enjoyed it maybe a bit more?
Yeah, remind me of the second question in a minute. Just going back to the first one. Nobody, at no point did anybody say, I don't want to do this in the training or in the event. That may have changed if we were behind schedule, but there was only one point there in the swim where we thought, and we didn't have any choice since we had to crack on anyway. But at no point did anybody ever say, I've had enough, I'm not doing this, it's not worth it. And what was the second question, Jen?
The fact that you had that target in mind to break that records, did that make a difference on how you approach things as opposed to just do it? Because one of my clients has done it from Kent. One of my accountancy clients, he did it, but he just, you know, there was no pressure for them. They just did it as a little group and they just took their time over it. And, you know, it was a massive achievement for him. But, you know, you guys went out with this purpose of getting that records. Did that change how you approached it? And if you didn't have that as the approach, you were just doing it for charity, but you hadn't set that goal of breaking the record, do you think that would have changed a little bit about how you structured it and what you were going for?
I don't think we could have structured it any other way. We literally, you know, we put so much contingency planning in place. We did have a couple of mishaps on the bike, which we could have actually gone about an hour quicker. But because of mishaps on the bike, we lost about an hour and 15 minutes. But if we didn't get a record, yeah, it wouldn't have been a nice show. The cherry wouldn't have been as nice on the top, and we probably wouldn't have drank as much champagne in Paris. But it still would have been an achievement. But I would have been. I'm a competitive soul. I would have been very upset if we didn't get the record. And I think that's the kind of determination and drive to actually get the record, because it was, if when people were getting tired on the bike, it's just, you know, it was just sort yourself out and crack on.
Graham, yes.
How did they?
Yeah, David has a great story. I really enjoyed listening to that. One thing, it's almost a similar question to what Jenny was asking. I mean, you were planning this for 18 months and you had 18 months of planning, training, and then you mentioned in the story that the record was smashed by a military team a few weeks before. And I just wondered, did you have to change your training process or thought process because of that target changing so close to your, you know, your start date?
No, we didn't. We couldn't change anything. It was too close in. It was too close, ready to go. And I think what it did, it's like you can't have a superhero without a villain, can you? It was that thing. I think it gave us a bit of an edge, because the 67 hours was kind of like, we're probably going to smash that, really, because they kind of came in and actually chopped off the bit that we thought we were going to chop off. We had to go a bit more, and it maybe give us a bit of an edge, and maybe it kind of just drove us a bit more. But we couldn't change the training plan because we'd been 18 months in the planning, so yeah, it was what it was.
Well, thank you, David. Thank you.
Yeah,
Doug.
How do you go about this? Dreaming up the idea of doing this. I mean, is it something that you were just sitting there thinking, "Oh, no, I'm going to ring the boys, we're going to do this," or is it, you know, you all got a bit drunk?
Fancy a crack, Doug?
Decided to do it.
Fancy a go?
Hey.
I've
done a few mad things. Like I've done marathons and little bits and pieces like that I've got talked into, but I think that might be a step too far at my age. But
well, it was, to be honest, where it came from was I was racing at the time Ironman, and I used to read a magazine called Triathlon 220, and it was in there. The event was in there, when it was me and Stu were just kind of having a coffee after the gym. Like, have a look at this, and before we know it, 6 of us were in a coffee shop arranging how we were going to do it. It's one of those things, man. I think if it hadn't happened that quickly, where everyone going, yeah, we'll have a go at that, yeah, we'll have a go, and all of a sudden we started doing it, and you put your towel on the sunbed. It's
that's it. Whenever I've done stuff and I've got talked into it, and I think you've got a group of you that are there, and yeah, it makes
Peer
it so
pressure.
much harder to step out, because if you're just on your own, you think, yeah, do you know what, I can't be bothered. I've got to train in the rain. I'm not going to do it.
Yeah, exactly that, Doug. And it was peer pressure, and once you put you put your name down, and it was, I think, because it happened that quickly. Then we just cracked on, and we started the wheel in motion. Yeah.
Very good. What was your target time, Dave? What did you think you would achieve it in?
Yeah, original planning was kind of around between 40 and 43 hours, based on, the biggest kind of the unknown was the transition time. So if we landed in Dover too soon, we'd have to wait longer for the pilot boat. We ended up losing an hour waiting for the pilot boat because we got there a bit early. We did the run quicker than we should have done, but we still got a good quint, and then we got a bit more break. So, and then also when we get into Calais, making sure that the support crew, they'd gone to stop in a hotel overnight and then jump on the ferry the first morning to meet us there. So it was kind of making sure that all those things worked, and they fed into the plan, in terms of how we were doing stuff.
Yeah, brilliant. Yes, Graham.
Sorry, just one more question, David. Is the one part of the whole challenge that you had no control over, obviously, is the swimming, because you can't control the weather and the tide and the sea conditions. What was your contingency for delaying the swim? Would you have aborted and then started again, or would you have carried on regardless, knowing that you're not going to win the record?
So we already delayed it 3 days. We were due to go on the Tuesday, and because the sea was that bad, we had to delay on the Tuesday anyway, so we couldn't go. We regrouped, put everything back, changed hotel accommodation, changed all these other things that we kind of had to put in place, changed the pilot boat, all these kind of things that we had to put in place to change. So we changed it once, and on the Friday it was still 50-50 whether we could go or not, but we didn't have a choice. Everyone else had booked time off work and family commitments, all these kind of things. So literally on the Friday, we didn't have a choice whether we could delay it anymore because of our external commitments. So on the Friday, it was a case of, we've got to start at Marble Arch 5 o'clock to get to Dover, ready for the swim in the early hours of Saturday morning. So yeah, it was. And if we couldn't have swam, the only thing we could have done, just to carry on the challenge to make the money for charity, we'd agreed that we were going to do a coastal swim. So we would have swum along the coast for 12.5 miles, then swam back. And if that was even too busy and we couldn't do that, we'd organise so we could do laps of the harbour. So we'd actually do laps of the harbour to get the swim done and then get the ferry across. But we would have avoided the challenge, and we would have avoided the record as well.
Yeah, brilliant. Any final question from anyone? Fantastic, really good. Does the record still stand? Do you still hold it, or someone beaten it since?
No, it's gone. It went a couple of years ago. Yeah.
What sort of time is it now?
It took off about 48 minutes, I think, 48 minutes quicker.
Yeah, really impressive. Really impressive. No, but fantastic, David. Thank you very much for that. And Doug, thank you very much for your presentation earlier on. So do everyone try and, certainly inspired me, and there are so many lessons there in business as well, and you can see why sports people often end up working with businesses with the teams to really achieve tremendous things. Some fantastic takeaways for there. You reminded me of Ben Hunt Davis's book, actually, Will It Make the Boat Go Faster? About the one thing, everything they did then was about will it make the boat go faster? And if they didn't think it would, didn't think it would have that effect, then they ditched it, and they were single-minded on that. And you very much with your two questions of will it get us there faster, and does it take the thinking out of it? Really good, and lots of other lessons there as well. So thank you very much for that, both David and Doug, for your presentations. Caroline's got a great lineup as well of future speakers. So next time around in March, on the 16th of March, we've got Jolyon Bennett, who's the founder of Juice. So that's a really great brand story, again a little bit like Grenade in some ways, but a real success story from starting with not very much and creating a global brand, and Louise is going to also do the select member slot for us next time around on the on the dream on her dream matrix. On the 20th of April, we've got Jonathan Sutton, who's the founder of St Paul's Hostel, and you know, he's going to tell the story there of how they, you know, had their funding cut by 40%, and yet they still managed to really help and keep surviving and supporting homeless people. And then we've got Rini and Manav, the founders of Love Raw, which is the vegetarian or vegan supplements and brands, and they started literally with £600 and a food processor, and rejected an offer from Dragon's Den along the way, and have created a fantastic business. So we've got some really good, you know, Caroline's working really hard, and thank you to you guys as well that are helping with that. So I know Hannah certainly, and Dave here, Dave Pego, putting people in touch, and you know, so if you've got any good, if you know people that would make fantastic speakers, then do let us know, and we'd love to give them a forum here. That's brilliant. Do also bear in mind that we've got a couple of events still coming up, so don't forget the next Scale Up Club, which will be on the 2nd of March. So do register for that, and you know, think about bringing a client, a guest, somebody along to that as well. That would be brilliant. 2nd of March, and we've got the next 90-day planning session on the 26th of March. So you might like to think about those either from your own perspective or potentially from some of your clients' perspective. And I know also Caroline's just put the links in there. That's brilliant. And also don't forget to be thinking about those opportunities where you might be able to collaborate with each other. You know, are there ways that we can collaborate? I know there's already a number of things going on between us, and that's great to continue that. You might want to take a look at the select member page that Caroline's put together. I think Caroline's probably going to put the link in the chat any moment now, but you might want to check out your own listing within there, but also check out other people's there, and just remind yourself of what they do and why it might be sensible for you to get in touch with them, see if there's a place for you to collaborate. So I think that's all that I wanted to say, apart from, again, you know, thank you very much to Doug and to David for their preparation today and their excellent sessions. Really good, absolutely brilliant. And thank you all for joining us today. Anything that we should add, Louise and Caroline, before we go?
No, I'm perfectly happy. I'm going to go away and study my list.
Yeah, lots of takeaways. Caroline?
No, I don't think so. That's everything. Thank you very much. Apart from Pete has agreed. Thank you, Pete Morgan. You're going to do the select member session, aren't you? After Louise.
What?
You are. I've got it in writing.
Yeah. And I'm with Pete. You know, what was your comment, Pete? You could do that, but you're just a little bit busy. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. I could do what Dave did, but I've got programs to watch. You know, listen, this chair needs sitting on, and I've got to do that, unfortunately, Dave. So
brilliant.
A brilliant presentation, Dave. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, really good. And if you don't, I don't know whether you do much in the way of after dinner speeches or general getting yourself on the platform, but if you don't do very much, you should. That was very good, David.
Yeah, I don't at all, and yeah, it's. I'm hiding behind the excuse of children, 3, 6, and 9, so and homeschool at the moment. But yeah, thank you anyway. Thanks for the feedback, guys. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, superb. All right, well, on that note, I'm going to draw the meeting to a formal close and wish you all the best, and look forward to seeing you all soon. Well done.